I'm Old Man Laundry, and I was the first person to ask questions about the fundraising platform Softgiving, as it was being used by Hasan Piker for his massive earthquake charity relief streams. And I was instantly swarmed and insulted by many of his fans for doing so. But less than 24 hours later, it looks like it was probably a good thing that I did. Let's talk about events by Softgiving. First, we need to establish a basic timeline that we'll add to as we go here. But to get things started, we'll plot three particular events on this timeline. On February 6th, 2023 at 5:20 p.m. I tweeted this. This seems very cool. Seems worth asking though, if Hasan the Hun or I Show Speed are being compensated for this fundraising effort, and how much of the donated funds reach the intended recipients. Reason being, these past comments from XQC and Softgiving's own website. Softgiving operates two products. One, Hero, where 100% of funds raised goes to the charity. Two, Events, where some goes to the charity and some goes to Softgiving, a for-profit company, and some may or may not go to the streamer. Do I have that right? Hasan uses option 2. The following day, on February 7th, 2023 at 3:57 p.m., Twitch streamer Josh Belkin tweeted this thread. The charity industry is so sickening some days. We don't take processing fees. We're funded by tips. We also take 4% processing fees for a third party, plus a 50% commission. If you are a content creator considering fundraising for a charity, use any platform other than Softgiving. This is the contract they make charities sign. The money donated via PayPal goes to their for-profit company. They take 50% plus a tip off, then hand it to a donor-advised fund that takes 4% of the total and maybe gets the funds to the charity a month later. If you're a charity, please make sure you're reading your contracts. Creators, please make sure you know who you are working with. At the end of this thread, the founder and CEO of Softgiving decided to chime in to say this. Hi, founder and CEO of Softgiving here. Here's an article from 2021 that explains our model in more detail and why we exist. Please ask any questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer when I can. To answer what I can. To which Belkin responded, saying this. There is nothing left to ask in this thread that you have not already avoided answering in others. What you are doing is wildly exploitative of charities and the Twitch community's desire to be philanthropic. Then, on February 7th, at 5 p.m., Twitch streamer Zachbussey picked up the story and retweeted Belkin's previous thread while adding this. Deep dive into Softgiving is mostly complete. It's too much to explain in tweets, so we'll record a YouTube video explaining everything I've learned. Seeing the full picture is both clearer and disappointing. And I have a link to those threads and that video in the description of this video. Now, let's look at some of the interesting things that happened before and after these three events. Let's start with the initial response to the thread that I tweeted out. The response was just about as measured and reasonable as you would expect from Twitter discourse. Check it out.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet. shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say, yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah.
Eventually, after I left one ever so mildly salty reply to a Hasan simp who I just blocked for saying something stupid, only to have this guy hop on an alt simp account just to badger me further, I got mass reported by Hasan's audience and subsequently had my account locked for 12 hours, making it literally impossible for me to respond to any of the brain-dead things that were being said about me and the concerns that I had raised. Thankfully, though, and ironically, being that I have essentially no followers on Twitter and a tiny but mighty following here on YouTube, if these Looney Tunes had been able to show just a little bit of self-restraint, no one would have ever even seen my initial thread, and there's actually a good chance that none of this would have ever happened at all. So I suppose in a weird way, I guess I should actually be thanking those people for losing their marbles, because they inadvertently elevated the concerns I was raising. And then it, of course, all snowballed from there until people like Josh and Zack eventually caught wind of it, picked it up, and countless other creators started sharing their experiences of working with Softgiving. As a result, Hasan has to address it, more than he has, and so does Softgiving. And they know it too, because on February 8th, at 11:19 p.m., Softgiving's official Twitter account issued this rather lame tweet. We want to address you all publicly with transparency and at a time of day where we can be seen and heard by all, and receive and answer questions from the community. We'll be with you soon for an open discussion. Softgiving. But a couple other things happened before that. First, the CEO of Softgiving replied to Zachbussey saying he was open to answering questions about this sudden controversy he found himself dealing with. And then he seemed to instantly regret saying that because when people like yours truly tried to reach out, he wouldn't respond. But really, my guess is that what's really going on here is that they're panicking behind the scenes, and the latest tweet from them is just an attempt to buy themselves some time in order to figure out how to respond in a way that would allow them to save face. But I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments, though. But there were also two very interesting things that happened that caught my eye that I haven't seen discussed anywhere else. First, after the heat on Softgiving really intensified, and Hasan's epic fundraiser was inching towards $1 million, I noticed something very interesting. A small but very significant change in the words used on the graphics promoting Hasan's fundraiser. Look at this graphic here, posted by Hasan on February 7th at 2 p.m. Now, let's look at the word choice here. All funds support Care Turkey, Care Syria, Akut, and Abap. The most important words here are all funds. Because then, the following day, less than 24 hours later, and after Softgiving came under sudden and significant scrutiny, Hasan released a new graphic that said something just a little bit different. See if you can spot the difference. All proceeds benefit Care Turkey, Care Syria, Akut, and Abap. In fundraising speak, all funds means exactly what you think it does. If you give $10 to this fundraising campaign, or 100 or 1,000, all of those funds will go to the charity you're being told that your donation is going to support. Whereas all proceeds means something significantly different. Because that means after we take in all the money and spend some undisclosed amount on expenses, that remaining amount is what the charity gets. So if you donate $10, that charity isn't getting $10. They're getting $10 minus whatever those expenses are. Same goes if you donate $100 or $1,000 or any other amount. They're not getting all of it. And that's when it's absolutely critical to know what those expenses are and know that before you're donating. Unfortunately, by all accounts, Softgiving is remarkably inconsistent with these expenses, with the expense side of their charity streams that they manage, and they're incredibly tight-lipped and secretive about what their expenses are as well. So who knows, maybe 98% of it goes to charity, or maybe it's 50%, maybe it's more, maybe it's less, you just don't know. And until these contracts are made public, there's really no way of knowing with absolute certainty. Softgiving may come back and say, here's our statement. And Hasan may do the same, but you need to keep in mind that if you let them get away with saying, take my word for it, frankly, you're a sucker and nothing is going to change. Now, it is very important to note that based on publicly available information, Softgiving were most likely the ones who created these graphics, not Hasan or his team. So, if this was an intentional sneaky word change, Hasan's team are almost certainly not responsible for it. Not directly. But it is notable and certainly raises more questions, not the least of which are a whole lot of questions about the responsibility of streamers doing their due diligence when they agree to do these sorts of events. But now that I think of it, there actually are some ways we can get some definitive answers and receipts even without the help of Softgiving or their partnered creators. And I would encourage any internet sleuths out there watching this to go out and look for these clues. But what am I talking about? Well, here's the thing. Let's take Hasan's Ukraine fundraising stream from last year, for example, which he undertook after getting massive blowback for some truly god-awful takes about the war in Ukraine instigated by Russia. That fundraiser benefited Care Ukraine, which is a part of CARE, a 501c3. And as a 501c3, their finances are publicly available. So that means if we were to look at how much was raised through Hasan's Ukraine charity stream and compare that to how much CARE actually got as reported on their filings with the IRS, we should be able to find out if this was one of those all funds raised situation, or if this charity got some of those proceeds. And then we can use some simple math to figure out how much of the funds raised went to those expenses, even if we don't know for sure yet what those expenses were exactly until we see those signed contracts. Now, as this is an evolving story, and I'm only a one-man operation with very little spare time to devote to this, I haven't been able to do this sort of deep dive on all of the many, many charity streams that Softgiving has managed. But you could look into that stuff if you feel so inclined, and I'd encourage you to, but I did try to get some answers here. Now, unfortunately, I didn't see any reported income from Softgiving on CARE's most recent Form 990 financial disclosure with the IRS. But I did reach out to CARE's PR person and ask them this. I said, hello, I'm working on a story about the fundraising efforts of Hasan Piker and wanted to know how much the CARE Ukraine Crisis Fund received from Piker's fundraising efforts for you guys last year. Thank you. Sincerely, Andrew. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten back to me yet, though. Now, you may be wondering, however, why I asked about those Ukraine funds and not the Turkey and Syria funds. And there's two reasons. And that's because, first, the Turkey and Syria fundraisers are ongoing efforts. And secondly, because if we can get an idea of how things were arranged financially for the Ukraine fundraiser, we could make some pretty solid, educated guesses about how things were arranged with the Turkey and Syria fundraisers, especially when considering the possibility that Hasan may have signed a long-term contract that covered the Ukraine fundraiser as well as any future fundraisers that would eventually include this most recent set of streams benefiting Turkey and Syria. Now, if Care does get back to me, I promise I will tweet about it immediately, so follow me on Twitter at oldmanlaundry, and I will also make sure to make a video about it immediately as well, so please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Now, the other thing that I noticed was a series of public statements by the founders of Softgiving. Statements that appeared to contradict previous reporting that I had read about Softgiving, and then on the evening of February 8th, where these statements would seem to be directly contradicted by Zachbussey's reporting and the reporting of others before him. And that's all with regard to exclusivity. The founders of Softgiving have said dozens of times, publicly and plainly, that they do not engage in exclusivity agreements. But that appears to be something that either they did a quick 180 on, or that's just a bald-faced lie. But I want to end by talking about Hasan and what his community just managed to do. His community raised more than $1 million to support humanitarian efforts in Turkey and Syria, places that were recently devastated by massive earthquakes. Those fundraising efforts by Hasan and his community are incredible, commendable, and frankly inspiring. Now, the questions and concerns that I, and now many others, have raised are about the mechanisms behind that heroic fundraising campaign, not the fundraising effort itself. I can only speak for myself, but I have not and am not accusing Hasan of anything here. That is despite what many of his most ferocious defenders have said and will undoubtedly continue to say. So before anyone can try to put more words in my mouth about how I feel about Hasan specifically, with respect to this controversy, let me be the one to tell you what my take is. First of all, as I've said numerous times already, he deserves a lot of credit and praise for raising so much money for so many deserving charities. But his response to valid criticisms is an issue here. I personally find it really disappointing and frankly annoying to see someone like him, one of the top dogs in this game, one of the most experienced dudes here, go so hard in the victim narrative on this. I mean, honestly, the way that he and his team have responded to all this stuff has hit me with weirdly similar vibes to Logan Paul's first response to CoffeeZilla's series about CryptoZoo. Now, obviously, before you guys freak out, I'm just comparing the vibes that I got from those responses and not the controversies themselves. So chill out. But even still, I am a firm believer in innocent until proven guilty, and based on the experiences described by other creators who've worked with Softgiving and what it was like to do that, it seems like there are three distinct possibilities here with respect to Hasan. One possibility is that Hasan is totally and completely on top of all of his contracts and all that other stuff, and he made sure that he isn't getting paid in any way and that Softgiving isn't skimming any money off the top. Let's call this one the on top of things good guy scenario. The second scenario is that Hasan, like many other creators, signed an agreement with Softgiving that he didn't look at close enough, and that turns out contained some things that wouldn't look too good if they came to light, but he also didn't realize that the agreement he was signing also barred him from speaking about it, and he didn't know any of this until all these other creators started speaking out. We can call this one the good guy made a whoopsie scenario. Now, personally, I think that both of these scenarios are equally likely, but frankly, when you are a massively successful streamer, a massively experienced one like Hasan, who's done other charity streams before, the leeway that you should be getting to not do your due diligence has got to be far less than a streamer who's just getting started. The other possibility, of course, is that he will eventually be exposed as basically being the left wing's version of Logan Paul. Though, Even though I'm not exactly a fan of Hasan's, I really doubt that the Logan Paul scenario is what's really going on here. But now that I think of it, if it did turn out to be that he was the last Logan Paul, that would open up some incredible possibilities in the WWE. Just saying. So again, for the millionth time, I am not accusing Hasan or his team of anything. We just don't have enough information at this time to make any real determinations about his role in all of this stuff. But I do think that there is more than enough information that has come out about Softgiving to make some determinations about them. But of course, to keep myself out of legal trouble, I'm not going to say what those determinations are in my view, but I strongly encourage you to exercise your First Amendment and tell me what conclusions and thoughts you have about Softgiving and all the rest of this stuff in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, sharing this video, dropping a like and a comment. And if you really want to see more stuff like this, please consider becoming a patron. That's all for now. Old Man Laundry out.